Who's the king of R&B? Drake.
Mm.
Because he has mastered his tone.
Mm.
So much so that I got my eyes on you.
No question.
Everybody sings it. Yeah. Everybody feels it. Everybody knows it.
I've said this a number of times. Drake is, I wouldn't go as far as what you said, but he is definitely.
Say it again.
No, look, I respect it. I respect it because I don't know a singer.
Right.
I don't know a singer.
Right.
That doesn't love Drake melodies because they're simple, they're there.
Listen,
you want to harmonize with every one of them.
Man.
It's just easy. It's just easy. It's just he's almost singing like basic pads.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just hold on, we're going home. Like it's like, so for me, as much as I love Stevie Wonder and I love oh my God, there's so many from the 90s, you know what I mean? But I'm like, as far as conveying an idea, the way Drake came in and was like, yeah, there's all that, and then I'm gonna come right here and murder the world.
He's like a pocket drummer.
And murder though.
Yeah.
Can we talk? Can we talk? Can we talk? R&B.
Yo, what's up? It's your boy Ian Vaughn, and I am super happy. I'm really excited. Look, thank you for tuning in to the Can We Talk R&B podcast. I am in sunny Los Angeles, California. One thing about the show you guys have noticed, obviously, I'm going to be jumping from different sets because we're all over the country. And we've been in New York, we've been in New Orleans, we've been in Los Angeles, we've been in Atlanta. So we're all over the country going to get the most legendary, the most exciting artists, producers, songwriters, contributors to R&B music. And I'm just so elated to have my man, Mr. Ryan Toby. But y'all just relax for 1 second. Listen. This is unscripted, but this is just the real deal, dude. Coming from a dude, like, from the beginning, like, I'm a church kid. I grew up as a singer in the church, whatever. Yeah. Growing up in the youth choirs, I was like the lead singer of the choir, one of them, at least, my brothers and my family. But I was one of the lead singers in the choir, and we had the opportunity to tour all around the United States. We've been over to Europe and so forth. But Sister Act 2, when you did Oh Happy Day. Now I know everybody asked you about this, and this interview is not gonna be about that, but I gotta get this out. Yeah. Back then, like I was when you singing Oh Happy Day when Jesus washed. I'm telling you, like when I was a kid, man, and I'm watching this and I'm seeing you and I'm seeing myself. Wow. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm like, wow. Man, this dude, like, first of all, your vocals was on point.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? And then just you had to swag the whole deal, and it didn't feel like churchy. It didn't feel, it just felt authentic. And of course, it's a role, but it resonated with me and it inspired me as a guy who sang in the youth choirs and sang in choirs, as a kid and leading songs and that thing. It gave me that extra level of confidence. And real talk, watching you on Sister Act 2. So I'm just gonna give you that.
Thank you.
And that's the smallest part of what I want to talk about with you. Yeah. But just thank you for coming out, man.
Oh, thank you, man.
We here to just have a conversation.
Yeah.
The name of the show, Can We Talk R&B? Can we talk R&B?
Yes, I think we can.
Well, I'm just gonna get right to it, man. Like you being this incredible songwriter, amongst all the things, incredible singer, incredible actor. Thank you. But in terms of just songwriting credit, we talk about some of the greatest songwriters, specifically of this generation. A lot of people bring up Neo. A lot of people bring up The Dream, and we compare them to like the guys of the generation before: Babyface, Teddy Riley, Jimmy Jam. Yeah, man, you in there?
Thank you.
You in that conversation?
A little bit.
No. You in that conversation, bro.
Thank you.
Like serious business. Like, tell me, like, take me back to the beginning. Like, where, like, your love for R&B, like your love for the music. Like, how did it all start? Like, tell me about it.
Oh wow, it started very early. 5, 6, 7 years old. I'm 70s baby, but grew up in the 80s, so I'm the same age almost as hip hop. I'm 4 years younger than hip hop.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And so as this new genre of music was coming on the scene, and I'm from the East Coast. Grew up about hour and a half south of New York in a town called Willingboro, New Jersey.
South Jersey.
Yeah, South Jersey, right outside of Philadelphia. So all that New York influence, this new hip hop scene coming, and then all the soul and the Philly sound, you know, right over the bridge, you know what I mean? So the style, the vibe, the fashion,
Yeah.
I was birthed into that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Also too, this is, you know, the Michael Jackson Thriller era.
Yes.
This is Michael Jackson dropping Thriller in '83,
That's
and
right.
like I'm in the first grade.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah.
Going crazy.
Yeah.
This is the dawn of MTV.
Yeah.
This is the dawn of everything.
Right.
So everything is brand new.
Sure.
The concept of the music video, brand new. Michael Jackson doing some magical shit. Like what I thought he was magic.
No, absolutely. We all
Like
did.
I literally
Absolutely.
thought Michael Jackson was magic.
Absolutely.
I didn't think he ate or slept. I just thought he just hovered and moonwalked and
That's right.
things lit up and glowed when he touched it.
For
You know what I
sure,
mean?
for
So
sure.
it was mind blowing back then. Prince, I mean, my God, he's got a purple jacket, a purple motorcycle.
That's right.
With a bad ting on the back. You feel
Yeah,
me?
yeah,
And a
yeah.
guitar. Like
Yeah.
what? And he's peeling
That's
off.
right,
Like
that's right,
what
What's happening
world
right
is
now?
this? Like
That's
what?
right.
You know? So my little mind was completely blown as
Yeah,
far as
for
I'm
sure.
concerned. Music, what you know? Now it's interesting. Like kids are just born into something. It's automatic, you know, hip hop and everything. Even black artists being as big as they are. But like when I
This is
was
the
young,
beginning of all
it
that.
was the beginning.
Right. Technology
it
wasn't
was
where it
just
is now,
the
right.
cable TV.
That's right.
HBO.
That's right.
You know, like everything was brand new.
Back then, I talk about this like a lot. What makes Michael Jackson this iconic, Prince this iconic, not just because they were these iconic musical talents,
Mm-hmm.
but the way technology was when they touched this on the movie
yeah,
on the television.
Yeah.
You're like, man, he touched the ground. It
yeah.
lit up.
Yeah.
We had never seen anything like that before.
Ever.
On nothing.
The whole format,
Yeah.
the concept of a music video
Right.
was a brand new concept.
They were doing world premiere.
Yeah.
When, like all the TV shut down, like
Yeah.
the president's coming on for a
my
Michael
God.
Jackson
Yes,
video.
Yes. And then, you
Yeah.
know, and then on top of that, you figure not only was it new, but Michael, they were doing things that would become the staple for what artists do now.
Sure.
The big dance break in the middle of an R&B video
Right.
where like the music breaks and then now you do a routine
That's right.
with 30 people dancing behind
That's
you.
right. You hadn't really
That
seen
was the
before.
beginning of
Absolutely.
that was the first time.
That's
that
right.
wasn't a thing. What
Right.
Chris Brown does normally
Right.
wasn't a thing.
Absolutely.
What Beyonce does normally
Right.
wasn't a thing.
right.
It was like mind blowing on top of mind blowing.
Sure,
It was
sure.
innovation on top of innovation.
Absolutely.
And so like, you know,
All while giving us eargasms.
yeah, and like, you know, the whole the not only the music video was new, but then Michael's gonna do a mini movie music video. It was like
Yeah,
all of that shit was
that's
new.
right.
And Prince did a whole movie
That's right.
about himself.
That's right.
And it was crazy, and the music was crazy.
crazy,
it was insane.
The fact that we're
yeah.
still wowed by that
Absolutely.
now just shows how amazing that was for sure.
10,000%. You know, my daughter, I have like all this like Prince paraphernalia. I got Prince pillows in the house.
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
like Purple Rain vinyl hanging in. My daughter, she's 23. She just was like, who is this guy? And like, why do you like him so much? And I'm like,
Right.
I'm glad you
have to
asked.
understand. Right.
have a seat.
That's
you know
right.
what I mean?
This ain't like how y'all are about Drake or
Yeah, it was
any of
just-
these other amazing
yeah,
artists, but
yeah.
we're talking, man, Prince, Michael Jackson, these guys were just otherworldly.
So that was the genesis of music. I feel like the music found me. I mean, I grew up in church, so I was singing in church, and obviously there's a lot of gospel influence there.
Sure.
But man, I couldn't wait to get home from church and
Of course.
sneak and watch MTV.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I talk about my next door neighbor. He was a little older than me. He was one of the older kids on the block, but he was the diehard Prince fan. I mean, he was rocking the lace shirt and he's rocking like, you know, the eyeliner and like he was that kid, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And he had this big ghetto blaster boombox radio and he would put it in his window, and like his window was broken, so he'd use the boombox to prop up the window
Sure.
and blast Prince all day, all night.
Wow.
So it used to drive my father crazy, boy. We'd be coming home from church, and you know what I mean? And then you just hear like Darling Nikki. But I mean, he's right next door to us, right?
Did you grow up like in a really religious household? Like they don't want you listening to secular music?
Yeah. But my mother was very progressive,
Sure.
religious, so it wasn't too stifled.
Yeah.
As she started to see me gravitating toward like, you know, the hip hop and the breakdancing and all of that, like they definitely didn't like it.
Yeah.
They didn't understand it.
Sure.
But it wasn't like a complete, nuclear meltdown.
They didn't stop you.
They didn't like stop me. So by the time it, even coming down to going out to LA, flying out to Hollywood to be in a movie or whatever, some of the people in the church and more religious men, you gonna let your son go, and be in the devil's entertainment?
Right.
And my mother was like, he'll be all right.
That's
I raised him right,
you know
what I mean?
Right.
So my parents were really cool in that way. But man, like that. I was just saying, like, the gospel music definitely had a deep impact, but it was something about between seeing like the Billie Jean on the videos on TV and like hearing my neighbor, his name was Poochie, hearing Poochie blast Prince all day.
Right.
And these songs and this voice and like the lyrics and like, what is he talking about? What does this mean? What does that mean? And you know what I mean? And so that just, it got its hooks in me and it was off to the races. Man,
that's amazing. Like, I'm listening to that, and it actually reminds me of my upbringing as well, because I didn't grow up in a religious, I grew up in a Christian household.
Yeah.
It wasn't, like, super, super religious in our household.
Yeah.
But, we didn't really listen to a lot of secular music. My dad will play Whitney Houston.
Okay.
We'll play Marvin Gaye. Love Marvin Gaye. He'll play Sade.
Yeah,
so we would get some of that taste.
Okay.
But I didn't get to Michael Jackson. You couldn't help but hear it.
Yeah.
When I'm out in the public, I'm at school, or I'm out and about. But in the house, we didn't grow up with that. But to hear that, like, listen to those foundational pieces, you can't help but, what's dope is what's dope.
Absolutely.
And those things, how those things grab a hold to you as a singer or as an up and coming. So coming from, I guess, Sister Act 2, you were how old when you did that?
16.
16 years old. So that opened up pretty much your possibilities and everything, your career and entertainment in general.
Yeah, absolutely. That was like my first. I would say my break.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So being from South Jersey, that's more of like, that's like a Philadelphia, more Philly influence than it is like from New York?
10,000%. North Jersey, I tell people all the time, like, New Jersey it's a pretty big, small state.
Sure.
A really big, small state, actually. And, it's split in half. You got North Jersey and got South Jersey. You know what I mean? And so people from North Jersey, they're more New York influence and grew up on the Giants and subs and hoagies and, you know what I mean? Philly grew up on cheesesteaks and the boy with the John, and the John was like, you John, boy. You know what I mean? We grew up on the Eagles and the Sixers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was... But then there's where I lived in Willingboro, it was like this blend of both, a little bit in New York and Philly. It was like this cool little white suburb that would like turn very quickly black because black people from Philly, from New York, from the different cities could move there to kind of give their kids a better life. So it then became like this really cool black suburb. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And there was the window that I grew up in. I mean, it started getting a little rougher and a lot rougher, like over the years. But there was this window, where it was like just right, where like, you know what I mean. You definitely could get punched in the face for being in the wrong section, but it's not. You wasn't gonna get shot.
I got you. It wasn't as bad. It wasn't as bad as it ended up getting. I got you. I grew up in similar circumstances. I feel you. Let me ask you this: Philadelphia. I've had this conversation with so many different people. We talk about like the dopest artists, R&B specifically, R&B artists, and you have a lot of dope hip hop artists from that area as well. You think about Detroit, you think about Atlanta, you think about Los Angeles, and you have all these super dope writers, singers, artists. Philly putting out heat, bro. So like you got guys like Music Soul Child, you got guys like Jill Scott, The Roots, Boyz II Men, like Will Smith. These people are people I know. I mean,
Eve.
Oh my, Eve was one of my favorites.
Beanie Siegel,
that's right.
Philly.
I mean, Meek Mill's from there.
Yeah.
I mean, Philly has pumped out a lot of incredibly.
Cooking.
Yeah, they've been cooking. Hall and Oates.
I mean, Gamble and Huff, the whole Philly International.
Man.
You know what I mean? That whole sound of Gamble and Huff is Philadelphia.
Yeah. So that like what in terms of how did that influence you and your style and your sound in terms of your music?
Well, I mean, you know, Philly, like I said, it's the closest city to where I grew up. So, you know, school shopping, the clothes, you got to go to Philly. You want the fly shit, you go to Philly. You want to go to, to the clubs, even like the underage clubs we used to go to go dance. The 18 and under type of clubs, and the 18 and up type of clubs. Like, you got to go to Philly. So hearing the music, hearing the style, and it influences you heavy because you live there.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So I always tell people I like to mess with my friends from Philly. And so, where you from? I'm like, I'm from the nice part of Philly. It's called New Jersey. It's just a little more east. You know what I'm saying? They don't like that.
Right, of course.
But it definitely influenced me. And then it really influenced me when I started like working in the studios there, and like when I was signed to Jazzy Jeff and A Touch of Jazz.
So let's get to that. How coming from Sister Act 2, you shot that in LA, but you're still living in South Jersey.
Yeah.
So at this point, how'd you get to Jazzy Jeff?
Got to Jazzy Jeff through I think that was through a friend of mine. Actually, an ex-girlfriend at the time. I ran into her, and she's an amazing vocalist. Her name is Tia, and she was signed to Jeff as an artist. So she was down there recording with him and working with his producers, and he had like a whole little stable of young, up-and-coming producers that would go on to do some legendary shit. Dre and Vidal, Carvin and Ivan, Keith and D. Like, it was just, you know what I mean? So there was a young Glenn Lewis running through them hallways and a young Jill Scott running up and down them hallways.
Lewis was from Toronto.
He's from, but he was recording with Dre and Vidal in Philly. Yeah, exactly. Nice. Young Music Soul Child, you know what I mean? So there was so many that was coming through Jeff's doors at that time. Young Jeanne and even Boyz II Men. Jeff has had his hands in like everything. Yeah. On the low. You feel what I mean?
Right.
And so, so I went down there with her one day. She's like, why don't you come with me to the studio? And that was the first time I met Jeff.
Gotcha.
And then he and I started talking. He was like, well, look, man, if you're around, you in town, whatever. I was like, yeah, I live in Jersey. He was like, yeah, well, pull up anytime.
Nice.
And he just opened his doors to me, and the whole crew down there, they opened their doors to me, and it was just like love. And I'm from around the way, you know what I mean? I'm just right over the bridge, so it was love. And then that Jeff's studio was my college. That was I dropped out of college so that I could.
So you can go there.
Yeah, because I think I might have went there while I was still in college, but home on vacation.
Right.
And I was like, oh yeah, I don't want.
I'm home. I'm home.
Yeah. So I went to school, packed up my stuff, and came back.
That's right.
Yeah.
So what was like the first record? I guess at that time you come from. Were you in the school of Jazzy Jeff? Yeah. And at this point you end up with. Wyclef and y'all started that.
Yeah, that was so the Jazzy Jeff that era ran for a while. Yeah, that went on for a few years, and there was a lot of great moments, wonderful moments while I was down there. That was, when I started my writing career.
Sure.
I mean, I had already had accolades. I had, really garnered my first gold record when I was 16 with the Sister Act 2 soundtrack.
Wow.
Because I wrote the rap part in Joyful. When they like joyful.
I remember that part. Yeah, okay. That was with I remember the guys. I remember doing the rap line. Yeah. Wow, okay.
So I wrote that, and
so you 16, you flexing on everybody. You already know what's up. I'm gold.
A little bit.
Yeah, dang, okay.
A little bit, but it wasn't nothing crazy. It was still the beginning of my career, so I still didn't, really understand exactly how to capitalize on it, and I didn't consider myself a writer.
Yeah.
I feel like Jazzy Jeff schooled me to the concept of like, Ryan, you're a songwriter, and this is what songwriters do, and you work in different sessions with different artists, and you even if it's a song you made for yourself. Because I was also trying to get a record deal.
Of course.
That was the pursuit of all of this really started from me trying to get a record deal.
Absolutely.
I wanted to be Tevin Campbell. I wanted to be in the video with the rain and
that's right.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
Dancing behind a girl, walking down the street. Like that was what I wanted. And in my pursuit of a record deal, I landed a movie. In my pursuit of a record deal, I started writing at Jazzy Jeff's studio, and I'm writing for all these artists.
What was your first big record from that time? I guess from the Jazzy Jeff era time.
I mean, they all started. It started it started heating up pretty fast. I wrote Darius Rucker from Hootie and the Blowfish. I wrote his first single.
Wow.
And it was called Wow One, and it started work. It took off for him, you know what I mean? And then I also wrote a theme song for this television show that was called Between Brothers that had like Kadeem Hardison and Tommy Davidson.
I remember. Yeah, I remember that.
I wrote the theme song for the show, and it got placed. Like it was like I was landing stuff.
Wow.
And Jeff is like, bruh, like this, like.
I'm gonna tell you,
know
bro.
what I mean?
I've been doing research. Again, I'm already a fan, right?
Yeah.
And I'm a fan of R&B, period. But just like listening to the things that you've done, and we're getting into this. I'm learning even more now, and I'm just like, what? I didn't even see that. I'm sitting there doing the research. I didn't even see that. Man, I remember that very clearly.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it started heating up very, very early, and then let me see. Dave Hollister came down, wrote for him.
Nice.
And then Will Smith comes walking through the door.
Come on.
You know what I mean? And
What year is this?
98.
Okay.
I feel like 98,
this is like
97, 98.
This is like the height of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
No, this is after Fresh Prince. This is after the summer of Men in Black.
Oh, come on.
He's that guy. He's him. All the way.
He's Emmanuel.
It was like a big.
Yeah. He's Himothy.
Him Duncan for sure.
Right, for sure.
All right, so and I remember, and at the time I was doing like a lot of theater stuff. I was doing like some off-Broadway stuff, and just paying the bills and just working. And I was actually doing really well in the theater world, and like starting to book like some Broadway stuff too. Nice. But my passion was still in like, man, I want a record deal. I want a record deal.
Yeah.
Everything else, it was working. Sure. So like, if I could just drop a quick jewel to the fans, don't be so hung up on your dream that you aren't flexible enough.
That's right.
To stretch your arms and limbs into different places, because you never know where the blessing may come from. And that's a very valuable lesson I learned. In my pursuit of the one thing, all these other doors were opening. And at the time, I was so young, I would be like, I don't want to be in no movie. I want a record deal. Yeah. And you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to write no songs for Will Smith. Fresh Prince, I ain't write no songs for Fresh Prince.
It's funny. You being a multi-talented guy, like you think about, like, even it reminds me of like the parable in the Bible where the master or God gave 5 talents to one, 2 talents to one, and you're able to maximize on each of your talents to where even if the one that you're pursuing isn't really working out for you, you are able to still work those other talents, and they multiply for you upon each other.
And I believe that is very important, because like I'll talk to a lot of young artists, and they may be just an artist, just a singer, and I'll say, well, do you write? No, why not? That could be a door. While you're pursuing the singing thing, you could be writing. Yep. Do you engineer? Do you record yourself? No. You don't know how to work Pro Tools? You don't know how to... Why not?
That's right.
That could be a door. That could, while you're pursuing the one thing, this could be another avenue. You know, so I try to... And I've always... prided myself on trying to know how to do a little bit of everything. Yeah. Plus, I got like control issues, so I don't like waiting for people.
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
You know what I mean? How do you work that camera? Oh, I got to wait for you to film me? Okay, I'm going to just buy one and learn how to use it myself.
That's amazing.
You know what I mean? And so with that, Jeff actually helped me to understand that a lot better, because I kind of was like how I was describing some of the young artists I meet. I'm like, oh man, I don't want to write for this person. That's my song. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to get my record deal. I was way too attached. And Jeff was like, Ryan, listen, you are a songwriter. This is what you do. You write songs.
That's right.
Excuse me. If you sell one to one artist, you can write another one.
That's right.
He was giving me examples, man. Look, this is how Missy Elliott got on. Missy was cooking for everybody. You feel me? And then Missy popped, and he was just giving me different examples, like the Babyface, same thing. He was writing for people. And then he got in the group. You know what I mean? And then he had his solo situation. So he really helped me understand that. And then that's when I really started to like dig into it. And so go back to your question, the first major success, I think, was the Will Smith placements. Yeah.
And that was so I know you worked on the Miami.
I did 4 songs on that album.
Come on.
I did 4 songs.
That album went, it was like
22 million.
Crazy.
And I didn't have a publishing deal.
Crazy.
Yeah. Crazy. And I had producer points on that album.
Crazy. Yeah. So this is like bro, like that's a life flex. If anybody, we got more. Listen, 22 million albums sold on your first big record or your first big, I guess, major placement. Mm-hmm. When I think about the things that just me or your career.
Well, that wasn't my first major placement. It was
that's
the
one
biggest
that really
one.
the biggest one. I'm sorry, that's right.
Yeah.
So you have worked with the biggest artists, period.
Yeah.
You have worked with Usher. You have worked with Whitney Houston. You have worked with Will Smith. You have worked with Mary J. Blige, LL, Faith Evans. You name it, you have done it. And I'm like, why don't everybody know this? Like, why don't they, you know what I'm saying, when these conversations come up, why don't we know this, bro? I mean, like, obviously as a writer, and I know back, you know, most artists, or I guess most songwriters, most of the great songwriters you don't really hear.
You know, and I'm from that era.
Right.
So I'm from the era of, you know, reading the credits on the back of the CD.
Right. There's a liner notes out.
Yeah, exactly. So, and for me as a youngster, as much as I, you know, idolized Michael Jackson and Prince and Stevie Wonder, whatever, all these guys who were, you know, great performers and basically the guy in the front.
That's right.
I would always flip the record over, always flip the CD over. I was always intrigued by these names. Who are these names? Mixed by, written by, produced by. What does that even mean? Engineered by. All songs written, produced, and arranged by Stevie Wonder. What does that mean? Mm-hmm. All songs written, produced, and arranged by Prince.
Yeah.
I like for some reason I was attracted to that.
Sure.
I was attracted to, you know, it's like written by Bruce. Who is the guy that wrote this Thriller song?
That's right.
Who is the person that makes it sound like that?
That's right.
Or all songs written and produced by Teddy Riley. All songs written and produced by Devontae Swing. And I'm like, so I was always intrigued by that. Yeah. Always. Like the guy in the front was cool.
Yeah.
Like my brother, it's like I had a philosophy of like, I'd rather be the Mac in the back than the chump up front. You know what I'm saying? And so and it was just, it kind of lends to like how I was raised. My parents are kind of, you know, they modest folks. You know what I mean? My dad's working class. Like, you know, he always used to say like, you keep a low profile. You know, you get your money, handle your business, and you get the fuck up out of there. Like, you feel me? Don't be the guy with the bright yellow Corvette driving through the neighborhood. Everybody know that's your car.
Yeah.
You can't go nowhere. Like, you know what I mean? That's how you get lined up. Like, I was raised that way.
Gotcha.
So I always had this mentality of like, let me just get in, get mine, and get out. And so, and coming from the era, the 90s era, it wasn't like the songwriters, unless they were artists, like, you know, Babyface and different people like that. The songwriters weren't trying to be stars. You know, producers didn't have tags in the front of their beat.
Right.
They was cool with just letting the artist be the artist, and then I eat over here.
Yeah.
As long as the right people know who I am.
Right.
People cutting the check.
You just killing them soft.
I was raised that way. And it was more fun because I had a taste of the limelight, and the limelight is great, but it could be a little taxing at times.
Sure.
You know, I like being able to just go inside a Target.
And but you've experienced that. You've experienced like being out front.
A little bit of both.
Yeah, a little bit of both on both ends.
Exactly. So when and once again, big shout out to Jeff, because I was very gung ho at that time, and big shout out to my first manager, Marvin Thompson, because he was very, very adamant about like, Ryan, you have a gift with your pen, bro. You can write. Focus on your writing. So he kept pushing me. Jeff was pushing me and just made it clear. And then I started to understand it. And then once I started writing for other artists and writing for people, I liked the way it felt.
Sure.
Like I like feeling like the feeling of unassuming success.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I like the feeling of like, you don't know what I got.
That's right.
But I got what I got.
Yeah.
And that's all that matters.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I don't never have to be the guy that come in the room and, yo, you know what I did? You know I did such and such, right?
That's
you know what
right.
you know
you don't
got
to sell yourself.
Yeah. So even in like in my DMs now, like people are like, yo, you are so underrated. And I'm like, how? I didn't even know I was rated. Like, what list am I on? I'm not on none of them lists. So what do you mean? How can I be underrated?
I mean, the facts are the facts. I mean, you have multiple diamond albums sold. Like, that's not
double.
Double, right. I'm sitting here like,
Thank
there's
God.
not many people. And absolutely. There's not many people in the game that can say that they have those type of accolades.
Yeah.
And I mean, to me, as a fan of music or just as a singer-songwriter myself, I'm like, how did you do that? Like, how did you Obviously, coming from the Jeff camp, you went on to
That's so yeah. After Jeff, then the Jeff that relationship started going in another direction. I couldn't get I was signed to him as an artist, not as a writer. So I was signed to him as an artist. I was working on a project to go and shop for a deal, and he was going to go shop it for a deal. That was what he was doing.
Yeah.
And then at the same time I'm doing these. He told me while we're doing that, you could be getting some of these songs off on these other projects.
Sure.
So we were doing that, and the reason I was able to get songs off on singers and then like rappers and Will Smith and people like that is because I was singing and rapping on my songs, which was actually problematic back then because artists weren't singing and rapping. It was like singers were singers and rappers were rappers.
At all. If you had I think Usher, when we first heard Usher, U-S-H-E-R,
yeah.
that was like one of the first times you actually heard them do that.
I mean, artists were rapping. I mean,
They
Bobby
wanted to
Brown
do it.
rapped
He did
on
it,
songs,
right.
but I mean, nobody was like,
full out.
I'm a rapper.
That's
I can
right.
rap.
That's right.
And then I can sing.
That's right.
So like
First
my
of all,
verses is like,
how
you
could
know
I
what I mean?
how could I say Bobby Brown was 100% rapping
Like
on those
he rapping on those
songs.
songs, you know what I mean? And so was Ralph Tresvant and
Yeah,
all of
so
that.
they started
but,
that. For
But
sure.
it wasn't. They were just singers.
Singers, that's
that
right.
did a little rap.
That's
thing.
right. That's right.
And so on my songs though, it was like, who's that
You
rapping
heard 'em
in
spitting
the
on that
verses?
joke. Yeah.
Oh, that's Ryan. Then the hook come on. Well, who's that singing the hook? Singing the hook.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the same kid. Labels were like,
They didn't
well, we don't.
understand.
Yeah,
They don't know what
he
to
need
do
to
with
pick a lane.
Yeah.
He need to pick a lane. It was considered all over the place. So, needless to say, Jeff couldn't get me a record deal.
That's hilarious. It's hilarious because now
Oh, it's standard.
if you don't sing some, you can't even be a rapper, and it's ridiculous.
You got to be able to sing and rap.
That's
now.
right. Wow.
So now, mind you, this is 20 years before
Of course.
Drake.
Of
You know
course.
what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so needless to say, Jeff couldn't get me a record deal. So it was just like, all right, the deal I had with him was coming to a close, and one of the writing projects that I was doing was actually for Robbie Parlow, who's the other guy in City High. He was a solo artist first.
Gotcha.
And Wyclef had him signed as a solo artist. Wyclef and Jerry had him signed to Booger Basement Records, their label imprint with Interscope.
Gotcha.
And so my manager, shout out to Marvin Thompson, well, he was my old manager, but we were still friends. I ran into him and he's like, yo, you should come write for this kid. He needs some songs. He signed to Wyclef. I think it could be something. We working on, turning this into something. Okay, bet. So I'm writing songs for him.
Wow.
And then so we go to the studio. Wyclef and them, is hearing these new songs that he's getting done.
Yeah.
And they're like, who the hell is the writer?
Yeah.
So I go to the studio. Wyclef is there working on My Love Is Your Love, you know what I mean, for Whitney Houston.
Wow.
And me and Robbie come walking in the door, and I already knew Wyclef through Lauren from
That's
Sister
right.
Act, and Clef knew.
I was just
you know what
going
I
to
mean?
ask, was
Yeah.
there a correlation
It was
between you working with
all the way 6
okay.
degrees,
Gotcha.
all the way, So when Marvin told me like, yeah, we got Robbie, he signed to Wyclef. Oh yeah, I know Clef, and I knew Clef through Lauren, and like me and Clef, I remember me and Clef and Praz and John Forte was like freestyling, battling at Lauren's baby shower.
Come
like,
on,
you know
man.
what I'm saying? So Clef already knew me.
Yeah.
He knew I get busy. He knew I could rap. He knew I could sing, whatever. So when I walk in the door with Robbie, Clef is like, Ryan, stop by saying blah, blah, doing all this patois, you know what I'm saying? Yo, this kid is crazy. He battled me at Lauren's baby shower for like an hour, bro.
Nice.
Like, you know what I mean? So it was all love, and I think even that night, like Clef was like, yo, why don't you jump on this Whitney record? Like, do some ad libs, sing some background. So I'm singing on the My Love Is Your Love. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh, wow. So that's how that happened.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So that was then. Now we're moving into the Wyclef era.
Right. Okay. Let's get to it.
So that's how we transitioned.
That's just
to that.
funny. I'm like when I walked in the studio today and I saw like the Lauren and the Fuji
yeah,
joint.
yeah.
I was like, man, that's crazy.
It's
That's crazy.
serendipity
Just
right
the
there.
synergy of that.
Absolutely.
So going into that, coming from I guess coming from the My Love Is Your Love record. Now you open up all type of opportunities with Wyclef, and at this time he was just one of the hottest producers in the game.
Clef was on fire as a producer, as an artist. He had two labels actually. He had a label with Clive Davis at I think it was J Records, and then he had a label with Jimmy Iovine at Interscope, Jerry's label.
Gotcha.
So Clef was like, yo, what's up with you? What are you doing now? I said, oh, I just got finished working with Will Smith. The album hadn't come out yet. So we were just, I was kind of in limbo with my career right now.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to, I still didn't get the record deal that I wanted.
That's right.
That solo deal I wanted. And then, and Will Smith's album didn't come out yet. And so Clef was like, yo, I love the music, the songs that you're writing for Rob. Mm-hmm. He was like, yo, y'all vibe. Y'all got a great chemistry. He was like, what are you doing now? I said, I can't, I don't know. It's looking kind of tricky right now. I don't really know what's going on. Will Smith's album ain't come out yet. And he like, man, well, you need to come over here and rock with us.
Yeah, yeah.
Got a label, man, got Robbie signed, da-da-da-da-da. We can sign you too. And he was like, matter of fact, y'all could be in a group together. You know what I mean? On some new Casey and JoJo type.
So this
stuff.
is the beginning of City High.
Yeah. Originally, City High was just me and Robbie.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did it go from, I guess, the two of you guys to then adding?
Well, Claudette. She used to sing on choruses. We just have her singing on stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, but when Wyclef and them heard her just singing hooks for us and doing little backgrounds and stuff, they was like, "Yo, who's the girl? Like, who is that?" They met her. They loved her. It was like, y'all need to be a trio. So it went from him being a solo artist to us being a duo to now we're a trio. It just kept growing.
So you go from, as a writer, you're the pen behind all that work?
Yeah. Me and Robbie were writing and producing a lot of songs, but I was mainly like the writer, the lyric writer. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I think when Caramel came out, I can't remember what year that was. Maybe like 03. Was that 02, 03?
Like probably 02.
Maybe 02. I just remember how big a song that was. And this is like when I'm telling you how much of an impact you had on me when I'm as a singer, right, in the choir. After seeing, like, all this time goes by, and then all of a sudden, I see, now y'all had a single before that.
What would you do?
What would you do? What would you do?
Yeah.
Had a single before that, but then when I'm like, that's my man. That's my man right there. That's my man. You know what I'm saying? Like, so coming from doing all that, coming from the very beginning, all the way to even to City High, these are all legendary times with from the late 90s up to the early 2000s. Like, all this time you're writing, what was like the favorite song or the song that you said, man, like, obviously you got your multi-platinum, you got all these projects with Will Smith and so forth. Your favorite song, like, you're writing all these big records. Like, which ones that took you to the level of saying, man, you know what? I want to lean more into this, because I know City High, y'all had some ups and downs, like most groups. Like, what took you to the next page?
Man, so that's like a two-part question, right?
Okay.
So my favorite song to that point probably would be the Miami song. That was like my favorite one.
Yeah.
Just because of the way that it all came together. That was the last song I recorded with Will.
Wow.
Yeah, we recorded like 3-4 other songs before that, and then we finally got to that one, and I was flying back and forth with him on the Sony private jet, and I'm hanging out at the crib with him and Jada.
And he the biggest star in the world at this time.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And he was so super cool and like giving me game, and it was just a good time being around, such a rich ass nigga like that.
Yeah,
like,
come on.
You can just have anything you want.
Come on. You ride.
And I'm young, young. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm super young. Matter of fact, when I wrote Miami, I hadn't even been to Miami yet.
That's crazy.
So I'm just like shooting for the moon.
So
like, whatever you want, OG, I'll write that shit.
How'd you come up with how'd you come up with the lines? You never been to Miami?
Imagination.
Yeah.
And sometimes you got to dig deep, baby.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You gotta visualize and manifest what you want. Fake it till you make it, Jack.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
But like Will, our process would be, he would say, we would pick a track, producer, we'd be in the room, producer would play a couple of beats, he'd pick a beat that he liked, and then we just brainstorm concepts and ideas.
It sounds to me that once you got from that, just a huge experience, and then now you're in City High, you're still trying to pursue your artistry, but it sounds to me that you were on another level already in terms of like, having that level of success by the time you guys, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So were you already seeing past City High? during that time?
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of part of the reason the group broke up. Because,
Gotcha.
it was like, it was a little bit of contention going on because
Sure.
I had other things going on.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? And this also was during the time of like the making the band era.
Right.
So putting people together.
That's right.
And making a group.
That's right.
Was the thing. And that was kind of like what happened with City High. It was
Gotcha.
like, oh yeah, we'll just put it together and then, we'll drop the album and then y'all can all go off and do your solo stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I remember we were on tour with the Black Eyed Peas when it was just the guys.
Wow.
And then we came out with this girl in the group and we like doing this kind of like,
Then they added a girl.
and then all of a sudden our group break up and now they add a girl.
Right.
And they're
And
like,
go crazy.
It's like it's a whole nother vibe now. Y'all went from these like b-boy,
I remember
breakdance,
that.
backpack,
Yeah.
dreadlock
That's
dudes
right.
to like now y'all
That's right.
pop is with the girl in the goot. Like, come on.
I remember that. They were Black Eyed Peas. Shout out to Black Eyed Peas.
They knew Jimmy Iovine, same label.
Oh, wow.
It was the same label.
Formula.
Jimmy wasn't playing.
So you just been laying like seeds and just like laying, and everybody just picking up, following your lead a lot of the way.
Exactly, and it was like after our group disbanded or whatever, I just went back to what I was always on, which was like writing. So I just kept writing, and
soon after that is when
now we're moving into the whole Usher era, because then. The group is doing one thing. It's like, this ain't looking okay. Now it's time to pivot. That's another gem I want to drop on the viewers. Gotta know how to pivot.
That's right.
You're not gonna win in this game taking things personally.
100%.
You're not gonna win in this game without thick skin.
Yeah.
And you have to be multi-talented.
For sure.
And you have to know how to pivot, because you never know where the blessing is gonna come from.
Absolutely.
So you gotta know how to pivot without emotion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that takes like thick skin.
For sure.
You know what I mean? If somebody don't like the one thing you're trying to do and they tell you, okay, cool. What else you want? I can do that too. Oh, you don't like that? What else? I could do this too. You don't like this song? That's fine. I got 5 more. You're going to like one.
That's right.
And I don't have no feelings, no ego. Throw all that shit away. It's not going to serve you. Believe in yourself, but all that extra ego ain't worth it.
Have you considered like starting like a master class?
I have. You know what's so interesting? I've been approached to do it. I've been thinking about doing it. I want to do it, but I'm like, I haven't sat down to write a curriculum.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? That's the only thing. If I can get with somebody that can help me like bust down like a curriculum, like, nah, this is this to this and this to this, help me like gather my thoughts.
I mean, it's so much game that you have, because you're looking at someone like myself who, I've been pursuing music forever. It's funny that you mentioned the pivot.
Yeah.
Me doing the Can We Talk R&B podcast is a pivot.
Nice.
Because I'm an extremely knowledgeable guy about R&B music across the board.
Nice.
I'm a great singer. I'm a great songwriter. I'm a good
Humble
songwriter.
flex. I'm a great singer. I look good.
Listen,
you know what I mean?
Listen.
It's giving success all the time. So
But in all reality, I mean, I'm the most humble when it comes to this, because I never reached the pinnacle of success that I wanted.
Yeah.
I had some regional success growing up with a group that I was with, and then I had some regional success as a solo artist. But I never really. I was always like 1 foot in, like almost there, but life just didn't work out for me that way.
Called?
Us Three.
Yeah,
but we had to change our names because we had a cease and desist order from another group named Us Three from
So y'all
Europe.
had to pivot.
We had to pivot to Just Three. Wow.
Oh,
Yes.
Go add the J. Don't tell me, was one of the members in the group had a J in his name?
No.
Y'all just threw the J
we wanted
in
to keep the Us Three because we were popular for that, and we was like, it's just us three.
Yeah.
So like, just three.
Yeah.
That's how we did it.
I like that.
And we had regional success being from the South. I mean, we did a lot of performances around from Houston to Atlanta to all the South markets. And we had a lot of good things that happened, but we broke up as well. It didn't work out. And me trying to go solo. So now we're, I've had some wins and I've had some successes.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I've always had to go back and get a job.
Yeah.
Had to take care of my family. Had things going on.
Yeah.
And I just didn't have that break.
Yeah.
But fast forward to now, I'm pivoting to this.
Yeah.
So that's a very important nugget.
Yeah, good on you. Very important.
So back to like what you're talking about in terms of once you get to Usher. So this is like, this is what, 2004?
This is 03.
03?
Yeah.
That, in my opinion.
It's actually quick little nugget I just realized. So April, May, 20 years ago, I think my math is right, I was working on what would become Confessions.
Wow.
April, May, 30 years ago,
Yeah.
I was filming what would become Sister Act 2, the
Wow.
classic. So I don't know if I got something going. So I
Wow.
feel like this year,
This
April, like
timeline,
whatever
yeah.
the seeds I've planted in April
Wow.
and May, and like now, I'm hoping that it'll become another like something legendary, something classic.
I have no doubt.
Yeah.
I have no doubt.
Thank you.
You something classic. You have so many classic albums that you've done. Getting to the Confessions album, which is in my opinion, Usher's probably best album as a collective. I mean, he has an incredible catalog.
That's everybody's opinion. That ain't just your opinion.
Well, but see, Can We Talk R&B? Because there's someone I had a conversation with, a good friend of mine. He thinks 8701 is better than Confessions. I mean, it's a good argument because he has some great songs in it. But
8701 was Usher's Off the Wall.
Okay,
Off the Wall was a classic.
Okay.
Confessions was his Thriller.
Listen.
I mean, like, it doesn't take one away from the other,
absolutely.
but it was the springboard. It
That's
was
right.
like it
That's
was
right.
after you
Yeah.
and then
That's right.
you,
That's
right?
He takes flight and puts it in the hole on Confessions.
I mean, you know what I mean? 8701 was that thing though.
No doubt. I feel
Actually,
like
history, that ramp up was insane.
I feel
From
like
My Way to 87.
no
It
doubt.
was like that was the 1, 2, bang.
that's right.
You
I
know?
feel like Confessions is the one that he really showed what he could do vocally though.
Yes, sir.
Like
absolutely.
he was killing on 871 My Way. He was killing on Can You Get With?
Yeah,
Back in
yeah,
like
yeah.
94.
Yeah.
But once he got to
There's levels.
Confessions, you like,
There's
okay.
levels, yeah.
Because before that, I didn't compare him vocally to like the greats. He
Yeah.
was really good.
Yeah.
But when Confessions came out, okay, I'm like, he's ascended to the higher level of a vocalist. And I'm one of those guys who, Joe, Brian McKnight, Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye. I'm like that.
Yeah.
Usher showed us that he was from that pedigree around Confessions time.
He wanted that. During that time, a lot of people don't realize. So after 8701, Usher was quiet, right?
Yeah.
And while Usher was quiet, you got Justin Timberlake.
Making noise.
Big noise,
Making
right?
noise, yeah.
And I remember meeting Usher. When we met him, he had a chip on his shoulder.
I bet.
He wasn't like the most pleasant because but he needed to. We had to figure out where to direct that energy. He was just mad.
Yeah.
Like what?
Because Justified wasn't playing.
You feel me? And a lot of the isms and the moves and the and the vocals and the falsetto.
That's
the homie was like, "Hey yo, blah, like you
That's
trying
right.
to beat me?"
And they coming
Flash.
from
Like, you know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody come see you, Otis.
That's right,
Like, you know what I'm saying?
that's right.
So he was on one.
Yeah.
And so he wasn't necessarily even taken to us right away. He was kind of angry with a few people and just mad, like, yo, like, what is happening right now? I remember Justin Timberlake got cover of Rolling Stone, and it was like the new king of pop. And he's like, wait, what?
Just skipped over him.
Just skip like everything I've been doing?
And they both from the Michael Jackson tree.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So with that being said, once we gained his trust,
Yeah.
and and mind you, it's me, it's Pooh Bear in there, like young Pooh Bear, like we
Nice.
sing, bro. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Serious.
So we giving him sauce, bro, like super sauce, and we weren't starstruck
Right.
at all.
Right.
Cause we was already
He was
making
already-
money.
he was
Pooh
already
Bear
doing it.
already had placements. He was
That's
already working with 112 and Bad Boy
That's
and all
right.
that. Pooh Bear already had
He was
hits.
already killing it.
You know what I mean? We
Yeah.
had already been to Grammy
par for the course.
nominations and all of that. So
Yeah.
we like, no, do it again.
Yeah.
No, do it again.
So you guys are in studio producing his vocals,
Absolutely,
everything.
10,000%.
Yeah.
It was like, I remember one time Usher had Miss Jan. She's a very well-known vocal coach in Atlanta, works with everybody. She was his vocal coach.
Gotcha.
And
Shout out to the vocal coaches.
yeah, right?
So
she's
slept
a
on,
legend.
like,
She's
yeah.
a legend. And he used to have to, he even told us, he was like, like before on like other albums and stuff, he wasn't working with like vocalists like that.
Yeah.
So like she would have to come and like rehab his vocal like after sessions. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
And so he had her come to like one of our sessions, and when she saw how we were like producing him vocally, because we're singers
Yeah.
and songwriters. So when she saw what we had him do and like techniques and this, that, like she was like, oh, y'all don't need me. And she left and never came back to another session.
And it's very clear, again, as a singer and a person who just has that ear for that, we're talking about comparing it like to 8701. Of course, he killed that. That album is crazy. But those little vocal inflections, the little falsetto, little riffs, and the little placement toners, you know, when you're recording, it's good to for me. I've always had my best performances when I've had somebody able to vocal produce me in studio. Ian, hit this note. You can do this. You can do that,
and show you how to execute.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's you know, it's like the player coach concept versus just coach.
Right.
When you have like a player coach, somebody who been to the chip a bunch of times himself, and he knows what that fatigue feels like.
That's right.
He knows what that, you know, or even a trainer who used to box himself.
That's right.
So he knows what you're going through. He knows what you're feeling.
Yeah.
And he's able to articulate it to you in a way that he can speak your language. Right. And so back to my point about where Usher was in his life, he was hot. Like he had an angst about him. Like, I'm trying to murder and everything moving. Yeah. He was even tight. This was during the time, bro, you got served.
Yeah.
All of the choreographers and dudes that made them boys fire was all Usher's guys.
Wow.
And they went and worked on the movie. So he's watching like Justin Timberlake get this, you know, garner this King of Pop, and then B2K
crazy.
with all my niggas.
Wow.
Giving y'all like, and y'all niggas in there bump it up. He was on fire.
I can imagine.
He felt like, I'm destroying everything on the planet. Wow. So this when it clicked and we like really locked in. Yeah. That boy, I saw something else. He was a demon. Like, so vocally, anything we give him to do, he's taking it to the umpteenth level, bro.
Wow.
Like, bodying everything.
You wrote Caught Up.
Yeah, me and Pooh Bear wrote Caught Up. I wrote Superstar. Right. And then me and Pooh Bear wrote Come Follow Me. Come Follow Me. We wrote that. We originally recorded that on Mario.
You can just in time. Oh my God.
And Mario ate that. Mario ate that record too. But Mario's people slept on it. So we
shout out to Mario. Mario's like of that era. And he's still cooking right now. He's probably my favorite young vocalist. You know what I'm saying? Like,
he's definitely one.
He's Joe-esque to me.
10,000%.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I mean, Usher, I put him a little bit before him in terms of obviously era, but Mario is that dude.
Yeah, 10,000%.
Shout out to Mario.
Yeah.
So let's go do a deep dive. Like, we talk about like Caught Up, or even Superstar, whichever one. Superstar. I thought that song was so well executed, not just from a performance standpoint, but just the perspective of Usher's the superstar. Yeah. And you're writing a song from the perspective that he's a fan of this lady, and she's a superstar. Like, take me on that journey. Like, how'd you come up with that concept?
Well, because I didn't write it for him. I was like writing most songs from my perspective. Nice. You know what I mean? Even like Caught Up, I'm the kind of brother who've been doing it my way, getting my way for years. Like, I was talking about myself. Nice. You know what I mean? And so it wasn't like a Usher thing. Wow. As a matter of fact, when Dre and I, from Dre and Vidal, the production team, when we were working on Superstar, it was just me. I'm just vibing with my bro. Nice. Usher wasn't even in the conversation until the song was done and written, and all the riffs and runs and all that stuff was in the demo. Nice. And Dre was like, "Yo, I think this would be good for Usher." And I was like, "Really?" And at that time, like I said, it was Justin's world. That's right. So I'm like, why don't we try to get it to Justin? Like, you know what I mean? Killing it. And Dre did some work with Justin, and like, you know, he's like, nah, man, you know, L.A. Reid is really messing with us right now. I think it'd be dope for Usher. It was like a little lull in between albums. Sure. You know what I mean? So, and
that was a time where you would, a lot of artists would wait a couple years.
Yeah, you could take those breaks. Yeah, absolutely. Exactly.
But he came out kicking.
Yeah, exactly. Because he was hot. He was on fire. He was like really ready. So, yeah. So as far as the concept of the song, it wasn't like, oh man, how can I be clever? Because Usher's the artist, the star, but I'm gonna make it. It wasn't even like that. It just happened to work out like that. Sure. L.A. Reid loved the song. Wow. He heard it and he loved it, and he said, okay. He flew us from Philly to Atlanta to go record it on Usher.
So some of those, I mean, as a writer, you tell me, when you're working on records like that, do you feel like the best you get your best work out when you're just writing it from your heart versus trying to say, okay, I'm trying to get it on this particular artist?
10,000% for me. Yeah. For me personally, I've had all of my hit successes and stuff have come from me just doing me.
Writing from a pure place.
Yeah, always extremely stifling when I try to write something for you.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say that once we have a conversation, once I get to know you and I'm like, it's my job to like hear you out. I like to call it like interpreting dreams, like almost like Joshua in the Bible, like, you know what I mean? Or Joseph, you know what I mean? Like, how can I help you interpret your dreams? So
Sure.
I'm talking to you. Where you from? Oh, you from the South? You from Beverly? Okay. And like what clubs y'all go to? Or where the hood at? Like how would y'all say that? And so I'm picking up on your slangs.
Nice.
I'm picking up on how you would talk to a girl. Maybe we go out to the mall. Let's go kick it. Let's go. Let me see how you are in public. Let me, you know what I mean? I'm listening to the way you joke with your friends and stuff. And now I'm embodying all of that.
Nice.
And then when I go to write something for you, I don't know, it's like in a weird way, almost like with acting, you have to like put a little bit of yourself in the role.
You have the framework.
Yeah, you find where you can bring this character to life. So it's almost like if I were you, how would I say da-da-da-da-da? And then what that does is then when I come and I present the song to you, you feel like it's enough of you in there for you to relate to it. But then it's all this other Ryan that you would never think of that you'd be like, damn, bro, that's fire. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's like, so I'm giving you what you don't have.
Yeah.
To help take you to the next level. That's the job of an artist. But if I'm so focused on you that I'm trying to make it so much you, it's like I almost like alienate the rest of the world.
And you lose the you, right?
And I lose me. And
that's the sauce.
And that's the sauce. And I have to remember that. Sometimes it's hard because you're trying to get on this project so bad.
Absolutely.
And you want it so bad and you'll lose sight of, who you are.
So do you feel Justin Timberlake inspired Confessions? Like from some of this, like from Usher's perspective?
No, not at all.
Do you feel it motivated, I guess, some like from your perspective as a writer, like we want to, since we want to make sure we're going harder than this?
Nah, not Justin Timberlake personally, no. The only part of the Justin Timberlake thing is just Usher is as competitive as hell.
Course,
and he's a master at what he does. So he's just, it was just like these niggas sleeping on me.
That's right. I gotta show him what's up.
Oh, y'all niggas sleeping on me.
Right.
That's all that was.
Gotcha.
And that, so, whether it be from, like I said with the B2K and you got served and then Justin just, making waves, Usher's just like, oh, y'all got me fucked up. Y'all forgot. You know what I mean? That's
who do you think is the better vocalist? Right. So we talk about, I would lean towards Usher between him and Justin. Mm-hmm. But you're thinking about, we talked about Mario. We talked about, Usher, Chris Brown. Mm-hmm. Fast forward to like some of the guys today. Luke James is out of this world. Mm-hmm. Who would you say as a male vocalist, like in the last 20 years, like can you rank them? Can you say, I mean, obviously these guys are great singers because once you're at a certain level of singing, it doesn't really matter. But it's more or less taste. It's like almost like a style of dress or a type of car or something.
Absolutely.
So like where would you place these guys?
In 20 years, that's a lot of people in 20 years.
I'm just saying, like, if you're adding Usher in there, how
are
about
we talking about the young dudes? Because, like, how, if within the last 20 years, my nigga, R. Kelly was still in these streets.
But, he also came out in, like, 92. Right?
But 20 years ago, he was still in these R&B streets.
No doubt. That dude.
And like, Kells is, like, a singer.
No
for
doubt.
real.
No doubt.
Like, don't get it twisted. I'm just saying, if we talking about a ranking.
Just talking about that.
Who do we throw in? Who do we, you know what I mean? Like, whatever. Like, Joe is still in these streets. You know what I mean?
Question.
So are we talking about, like, the newer,
let
younger
me rephrase
guys?
this because Joe
that's a lot of people.
To me, no one's messing with Joe. Right? Unless you go into, like, the Luther time. Nobody. If you go, so let me rephrase that. Yeah. In the past 10 years or so, right? So let's just say since 2010. The guys, can you rank these vocalists? Like, who's like sitting at the top, or at least,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty easy. Because from 2010, I feel like the landscape of the male R&B vocalist, the real singer, that started to dwindle.
Sure.
We started losing people either to age and just like, fading away, or court cases. You know what I'm
For
saying?
sure, for sure.
And then like the rappers and the auto tune just made it easy for people to just create beautiful melody and
That's
not
true.
have to like have vocal.
So what
technique.
happened to R&B? So
Hip-hop.
this is when, well, obviously this
Yeah.
is when people are saying R&B is dead,
Yeah,
right? They're saying this. So
yeah,
now
yeah.
you have artists like John Legend, you have artists like Neo, Trey Songz. A couple of these guys were
Yeah.
kind of trying to hold the torch as long as
Yeah,
they could,
yeah,
but they didn't.
yeah.
I mean, alone they couldn't do it.
Yeah, right,
So from the eras of the '90s, you had
Yeah.
so many male
Yeah,
vocalists,
yeah,
crazy,
yeah,
out of this
yeah,
world, killing
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Fast forward to then, so when I'm asking that question, I guess I'm really talking about like the Bruno Mars,
Right.
the Luke James,
Right,
the
right.
the
new guys.
the newer guys,
So yeah. Out of the new guys,
because they've been trying to me, they've been
Yeah,
trying to
absolutely.
and I feel like ultimately it's starting to happen now. I'm starting
even
to
like
see
Lucky Day,
Lucky's
he
amazing.
gets busy.
Yeah.
BJ, Chicago
serious.
Kid goes crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, so like out of the new guys, I mean, if we're talking about like, because it's one thing to have the coldest vocals ever, but
Right.
if you ain't no hit records, then
That's right. That's
are
another factor.
you know what I mean? So what are we talking about when we saying like if the ranking is tricky for me? Obviously, vocal ability and as well as star appeal, star power, all of that. Usher's at the top of the list.
Sure.
Just hands down, flat-footed, cold-ass singer.
Right.
Chris Brown is really a really great singer.
100%.
Like a crazy, crazy singer.
For sure.
You know what I mean? That you wouldn't really know because a lot of his stuff is so hip hop
That's
driven.
right. That's right.
But like Breezy really blow.
He's serious.
You know what I mean?
He is the Bobby
Yeah.
Brown
and he takes it
of this
serious.
era, and in my opinion, maybe a little better at this point. I mean, fantastic singer, fantastic song, singer, dancer, performer, the whole deal. He embodies that. Is ultimately
he
what
really
it is.
got it. I think obviously with the verses, Mario showed us that he was not
Serious.
to be slept on or
At all.
forgotten
At
all. And then like I feel like Luke is that's my brother number one, and he's an alien.
And he's from New Orleans.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean. Like he's an alien vocally. Like it's ridiculous.
I put Luke, and I was telling someone else this. Luke has like he has a timeless, like just timeless voice.
Yeah.
Like Whitney Houston, right?
Yeah.
Whitney Houston is, in my opinion, the greatest voice. Not necessarily the most creative vocalist, but just had the best voice, no matter what, right? So you have that. I think Luke is kind of in that air of a
Absolutely.
talent.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? He doesn't have those
Absolutely.
records yet or whatever,
Absolutely.
but in terms of just flat foot,
Yeah.
you get his boy a song,
Yeah.
and not only does he sound amazing, but you feel it.
Absolutely.
And that's the difference between a lot of artists, in my
Absolutely,
view.
absolutely.
You know, so Luke is that guy. Yeah.
I,
Luke.
it's funny you say that. Even when what you did the comment about Whitney, it's so nuanced. You know what I mean? These lists and these rankings are so nuanced, bro.
Yeah.
There is no such thing as one style or
course.
another because, like for instance, like I was listening to on the radio like Tony like
Come on.
Raphael Sadiq.
Serious.
He never did any riffs
Nah.
or runs, and his tone is so distinct.
That's right.
So unique.
That's right.
So creative.
Man.
And hits you in the same
That's
place
right.
every single
Big
time.
shout out
And
to
he's
Tony,
a one of one.
Tony and Raphael.
He's
And
a one of one.
They're going on tour this year.
You know?
I've been getting the text. I'm like, I'm
Right.
looking forward to catching him out there. He's definitely
Right.
a one of one for sure.
So it's like, what are we talking about? Are we just talking about churchy shit? Talking about who can do the most of that? That ain't great singing.
That's right.
You just doing a
That
lot.
alone don't make it great.
That's
Absolutely.
not great singing.
And I was having that conversation last night. Those are dope techniques, and
Yeah.
but who had the best voice?
Or do I feel
And
you?
do I feel you?
Did you bring me to
That's
tears?
right. That's right.
Am I nervous bringing my girl to the show?
Yeah. Come on.
How crazy is she going? Is it going to be a conversation in the car?
That's
like, damn,
right.
I mean, like, the nigga was all right.
I
Like-
brought my wife. I brought my wife to a Lucky Day show,
Right.
and she's like, "Oh my God, the reverb." I'm like, big shout out, Lucky.
Bro,
He's killing it.
I took my ex to a Chris Brown show. No, not even a Chris Brown show. It was an Usher show.
Oh, come on.
This when Breezy first came home from jail.
Yeah.
And we at the Usher show.
Yeah.
And mind you, it's Staples Center. It's up.
Yeah. It's lit.
It's 2 up. But Usher is doing like a Usher. He bringing them out. Oh, I got my man, and whoever come out. This
Yeah,
one
yeah,
come
yeah,
out.
yeah.
Jeremiah come out. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Bangers. This Breezy came out on stage,
Come
nigga,
on.
with a rough beard, no haircut, no. Usher told me too backstage. He was like, "Yo, man, these young boys different, man. You know, he's like, we backstage. I'm like, yo, you want
Gotta
the
get
barber
tightened up.
detergent?
Yeah, yeah.
Breezy was like, no, I don't
Breezy,
need no
come on,
haircut.
come on.
I don't need no nothing. Chris looked like he just got out his car and walked out on stage.
Wow.
And the sound decibel, it was already loud,
Yeah.
but it went to deafening,
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah,
to where
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like just a in your ear. And I looked to my side, and my date
Yeah.
is going back,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I mean, like,
This nigga,
it's
dog.
love.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
I felt the way. You know what I mean? So, and then Chris, and the first song is "When a Rich Nigga Out You."
Oh,
I was
come
like,
on.
oh my God,
Come
these
on.
hoes ain't loyal.
Come on.
Right from the rip, these hoes ain't loyal. They love me, bruh.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow. So to me, when you talk about, it's like, what do you want out of singer? I think if you're gonna make a ranking, if you're gonna make a list of some sort, let's talk about what we want from the singers, and then let's put people in the list. Okay, vocal ability, riff, you know, this jazz. Because me personally, when I hear singers that do a lot of riffs and runs and don't know how to just sing a beautiful
And also
melody,
don't know how to place them.
yeah, and it's like, okay, you go crazy, but I don't. What's
It
the
doesn't
melody?
resonate.
What's
Yeah,
the melody?
yeah, yeah.
Can I sing it back?
That's right.
Can a 2-year-old sing it back?
That's right.
I think what's an amazing thing is, like, you know, what Bruno displays is melody. Melody.
And tone.
In tone. So okay, let's stop right there. Tone.
It's everything.
Who's the king R&B? Drake.
Mmm.
Because he has mastered his tone.
Mmm.
So much so that I got my eyes on you.
No question.
Everybody sings it.
Yeah.
Everybody feels it. Everybody knows it.
I've said this a number of times. Drake is, I wouldn't go as far as what you said, but he is
I'll say it
definitely.
again.
No, I respect it. I respect it
I stand
because
on it.
I don't know a singer.
Right.
I don't know a singer.
Right.
That doesn't love Drake melodies because they simple, they're there.
Listen.
You want to harmonize with every
Come
one of
on,
them.
man.
It's just easy. It's just easy. It's just he's almost singing like basic pads.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Just hold on, we're going on. Like, it's like, so for me, as much as I love Stevie Wonder and I love, oh my God, there's so many from the 90s, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I'm like, as far as conveying an idea, the way Drake came in and was like, yeah, there's all that, and then I'm going to come right here. And murder
He's like
the world
He's like a pocket drummer.
and murder, though.
Yeah, yeah, and killed it. Yeah.
So I like when I talk to, you know, my singing friends, they like, yeah, I can't listen to none of this new shit. You know, I listen in the 90s. Nigga, I don't need to keep. I know how to do all the Casey and JoJo runs. I don't need to.
Yeah.
I want to learn how to sing like Drake.
Wow.
I want to learn how to do that. I already know how to do all that other stuff. I've been doing that my whole life. I've been singing all them riffs and runs my whole life.
Yeah.
What the fuck this nigga doing?
He definitely came
That he
in.
got-
he definitely came in and had.
And how do I
everybody
get into that? How do I get a little bit of that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that that's important. So I think when it comes to singers, singing, quality, it can be anything.
Sure.
And depending on the world you're in. Now, somebody like a Layla Hathaway or Rochelle Farrell or, like, you know, India Arie, different people, they're in a different zone. They're in a different space. They're in, you know, that jazzy space. So in jazz, it's all about tricks.
Absolutely.
Everybody in the band, the instruments are all doing tricks because
Right.
that's what jazz encompasses.
There's no specific structure. It's feeling.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So I think it just depends on the space you're in. Then we can start ranking things, in my personal opinion.
Have you? So out of all, like, you've worked with all these different artists. I mean, we talked about, like, you've worked with Whitney. We worked with Usher. You've worked with Chris Brown. You know, is there a favorite artist that you've written for? Is there artists that you hadn't written for yet that you want to?
I mean, obviously, I would love to still land a Beyonce record.
Oh, come on.
Actually, this record I did for Usher called "Tell Me" on his Hard to Love album. Excuse me, it's a song that we did called "Tell Me." I originally wrote it for Beyonce. I had Beyonce in mind.
Gotcha.
So I, like, sang it in my real high falsetto. I was thinking female vocal. It was, like, slow. It was, like, sensual. And I was thinking, like, yeah, this would be like a sexy Beyonce record. and I wasn't even really close. I was playing Usher a bunch of other songs that night in the studio, and I just had songs playing, whatever, and that song just came on next, and I went to skip it, and he's like, "Nah, what's that?" And I was like, "Oh, that's just something I did, female like, hey, let me hear it." I played it for him, and it was like 8 minutes long. I just like let it vibe all the way out, you know what I mean? And I was just in my bag.
In your bag,
you feel me?
Do you play any instruments?
I don't.
Okay,
no.
yeah.
And then he said, "That's the one." And I was like, "Wow, really?" So that's another little gem. You never know.
That's right.
You never know. You know what I mean?
Might have wrote something for one person, the next person gets
exactly.
it.
So
Absolutely.
I mean, I still would love to get a B record. Love to get a Rihanna record. I would really, really love that. I would say out of the artists that I worked with, my favorite. That's hard.
Man, you've written so many records though.
That's
Like,
hard. And there's a lot of like artists that aren't big stars that I've
Sure.
worked with that have been
they killed us.
amazing.
You love the songs,
Yeah, because
right.
it also goes back to when we talk about favorites. It's like, how was the vibe? Was it fun?
That's right.
Was there chemistry? Or was it pressure? And was it like stifling? And was it like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not having no fun, or I'm just doing this for the money, or I'm just doing, you know what I mean? Like,
That's right.
So I think about the sessions that were really fun. I feel like those Usher sessions, anytime me and Usher are able to catch a vibe, it's always fun because that's like my brother.
For sure.
So it's
Are
really,
you
really
working
fun.
on anything for him coming up? Or
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We're mixing a song right now that's going on his next album, fingers crossed.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. You never really know. With Usher, you don't know what made the album till the album is out.
Absolutely.
So I never get my hopes up, you know what I mean? Never get my hopes up. I just show up, do the work.
No, absolutely. So in terms of your catalog, you don't have a specific favorite song, but we have a segment, I guess, called Pen Game. And in that particular section, I like to break down, like, even if it's like one particular song. So let's just pick out. We talked about
you know what it
Superstar.
is, real quick? I feel like I ain't wrote my favorite song yet. That's what keeps me motivated.
Nice.
I haven't written it. Now, songs come out like the Superstar record. It'll remind me.
Sure.
Oh, damn, that shit was kind of fire, huh? But like, I'm always challenging myself. I'm always on to the next project and the next goal, and always pushing myself, that I never really let myself settle into like, this is my favorite, because I feel like if I hang on to it too much, then I'll keep regurgitating that same idea subconsciously.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So I try to like do it, let it go. Do the next one, let it go. Do the next one, let it go. It keeps my mind clear, it keeps me fresh, and it keeps me in a mindset of new creation. Nice. So that's what motivates me, is like, I haven't written my favorite song yet.
Nice.
I'm still trying to write that.
Your writing process, do you write to, like, if you say you're not a musician, and that, in terms of playing an actual instrument, do you guys just submit tracks to you? Do you like get like loops? Do you rather like have it open, like just a guitar lick, but you don't want it confined, already fully produced?
Nowadays I am big on space. I'd rather you not send me tracks and stuff like that with a whole lot of production. And I'm really into changes. I wish R&B can get back to changes where, like, we go, there's a particular chord structure or progression in the verse, and then when we get to the pre-chorus, can we change the chords, please?
That's
like, you know what I mean? Like, producers, please stop sending 4-bar, 8-bar loops. Like,
Drake did that.
You know what I mean? It's boring, and it's hard to. It's like you putting more of the work on me. I got to come up with all the parts. What's your job? You do something in Splice, and like,
what happened to the bridge?
What happened to the bridge? What happened to the pre-chorus? What happened to the chorus being different chords from the verse and the pre-chorus? And there's something different.
That's right.
Let's do 3 distinct changes and stop being afraid to be musical, because I feel like is Bruno Mars the only guy that gets to make musical black music?
Come on.
Everybody else just got to be hip hop and R&B and just keep it simple, bro. Ain't nobody trying to do all that shit. Meanwhile, Soul Sonic
killing it. Yeah.
Come on,
look, no one's grabbing air anymore.
Yeah.
Remember, no one's doing that anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need somebody to grab some
Can I
air.
get or a key change?
Come on.
A modulation.
That's right, that's
Can
right.
we go like?
That's right.
Can we go a little? And
Yeah,
they take it up
yeah,
to like. I don't
Come
know.
on.
That's my prayer to musicians is please send or producers, like if you're gonna send me something, you're gonna DM me something, bro. Like I don't want to hear no more beats.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear no more beats. Everybody and their mama can make beats now.
For sure.
Like
No doubt.
like come on,
Just
bro.
open the computer. And
Anybody and their mama can make beats. That
Yeah.
doesn't make you stand out. But like real production, real musicality. I always feel blessed when I'm able to work with musicians. To go back to the process, like sometimes it's like, yo, man, let's just write the song to just the piano.
Yeah.
Let's just write the song to just the guitar.
Absolutely.
That way, it challenges us to really make the song great versus the drums loud.
That's right.
And we try to trick ourselves and
we'll come
ooh,
back
this
and
shit banging. It's like, no, it's just loud.
Yeah, we'll come back and post and add the flavor to it.
Yeah,
but
if
those
it even needs it.
if it needs it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, so that's really where I'm at. That's what inspires me.
So what's coming up new for you? I mean, you have Usher. You mentioned you're working on some stuff potentially for that. Any something new that you're working on as a solo artist?
I'm working with Luke James.
Awesome.
Yeah, Luke is working on a new project. Ro James is a good brother of mine. He's working on a new
Shout out
project.
to Ro James.
Rotimi.
Yeah, that's the homie.
So we had some really great success with his In My Bed.
That's right,
record.
that's right, yeah.
So we got some new songs cooking with him, and I'm just staying busy. And I'm not gonna lie, there's a part of me that feels kind of like I'm retired a little bit. You know, just
I mean, you done sold what, 100 million albums? I'm not sure, like,
just kind of like looking for the next adventure.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, it can't just be studio for the rest of my life.
do
Like,
you? I mean, we've talked about the pivot as a writer, and I guess you're talking about potentially pivoting to some other things that you have in you.
Yeah.
Do you ever think about like, yo, I wrote these records for them, and I've had this great success. Maybe it's time for me to throw myself back out there as an artist.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually over the pandemic, I put out a series of albums called Songs for the Lockdown, and I was dropping an album every week for like 10 weeks.
Amazing.
And so I did 10 of those, and then
A full out album.
yeah, like 7-8 songs.
Nice.
Yeah. So I was like gathering songs that I had, and then also making new stuff, and I was just dropping just some cool challenge. Dropping an album every Friday. I'm coming with a new album. Here come volume 3. Here come volume 4, volume 5. And I did that all the way to 10 volumes. And then later on that year, I put out a Christmas album called Songs for the Season.
That's right. I heard that.
And then I kept making music. So I got like 5 albums, about 5 now. 5 albums ready to go.
Nice.
I was just trying to figure out how I wanted to release them and stuff like
Gotcha.
that.
That's
But,
amazing.
yeah.
Man, Ryan, it's been an absolute pleasure, brother.
Thank you, man.
To have you come.
Appreciate it.
I'm gonna tell you, man. Like I've started it off talking about what kind of inspiration you have been to me, and I think about even like listening to your story and learning more now. You've done so much, and you don't get praised or get your accolades for it. And I'm not saying that you do it for that, but I want to give them to you.
No,
your
I
flowers
appreciate
right now,
it.
man.
I
You're an
appreciate
amazing
it.
songwriter,
Thank you.
amazing
Thank you.
artist, talent across the board, and
Thank
you've been
you.
an incredible contribution
Thank
to
you, man.
R&B music as a culture.
Thank you. That means a lot, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank
So
you.
I appreciate you coming, bro.
Thank you
Big
for having
time,
me,
big
man.
time.
Yeah, this was fun.
Look, guys, thank you guys for tuning in. This is my man, Ryan Toby, on the Can We Talk R&B podcast. This has been a special treat. So, guys, tune in. Y'all subscribe. Listen, we're going to be introducing you to a lot of incredible guys just like Mr. Toby right here. Continue talking about R&B music. We just want to continue the conversation. Can we talk R&B?
Hey, can we talk
Come on.
R&B?
Come on. Bless up.